All right, on today's show here at Miami Dolphins Today by Chat Sports, we have a lot of topics to discuss. We'll start with this. The New York Jets fire their head coach, Robert Saleh. Miami Dolphins injury news after week 5 for their final practice during the bye week. And then Skylar Thompson, is he returning to the Dolphins soon? But before we get into it, the Jets, they're the worst. They fire their head coach. They're an absolute dumpster fire. If you hate the New York Jets over in Meadowlands as much as I do, hit that thumbs up icon. I want this to be the most liked video in Dolphins Today history because everyone should hate the Jets here at the channel. All right, we'll start with the news on Robert Saleh, as I mentioned. The original report came in from Ian Rappaport, but Adam Schefter had the note on who is replacing Robert Saleh. Defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich is being named as the interim coach, and that is who is going to be taking over for the Jets. And I got to be honest, folks, I actually think this is a bad thing for the Dolphins, and really the entire AFC East, because when you think of what the Jets' issues have been over the past 3 or 4 seasons, you can blame a lot on Zach Wilson. But one thing has been very certain and clear. They've had a really good defense over the past 3 seasons. They just can't score. Now, they still can't score the football, but I think Robert Saleh is a bad coach. I've been saying that. I said it before the season that I predicted an 8-9 record for the New York Jets, even though other people and media heads were predicting 11-6 and them winning the division. And they were the favorites to win the division. I never saw that happening because I thought Robert Saleh was a horrific football coach. And ultimately, the Jets felt the same way in Camden after having a 20-36 record over the past 3 or 4 seasons. And it's unfortunate because I don't think it get worse than that. I don't think there's a world that Jeff Ulbrich comes in and is a worse coach than Robert Saleh, which means the New York Jets are automatically getting better. I also think this adds another point of intrigue in the Davante Adams saga. I think this firing of Robert Saleh makes a trade a lot more likely for the Jets to acquire Adams. We've seen the Jets offense struggle. They have Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, Allen Lazard, but they've been heavily linked to Davante Adams as him and the Raiders look to get a deal done to move him out somewhere else. And I think the Jets are the most likely landing spot. And I think one of the reasons why Saleh was canned was he might not have wanted the trade for Davante Adams. Give more power to Aaron Rodgers in that locker room than he already has. And it certainly seems like there is a lot. So to me, I think an Adams trade might be happening in the next 2 or 3 days, and I think he might be a New York Jet. And it's interesting to note all of this information, by the way, because when you think about the standings and where Miami ranks after 5 weeks, they have the same record as New York. They're both 2-3. The Jets do have the better divisional record. New York's 1-0 inside the AFC East, only beating New England. Miami is 1-1, splitting with the Bills and New England. So that's why they are behind the New York Jets here. But the Bills and Jets do play on Monday Night Football this week, which will be a fascinating game for a lot of different reasons. One, we'll see if the Jets go to 3-3 and tie up that division lead and actually jump to the top of the division by beating the Bills, so they'll both be 3-3, or they go 2-4, and well, the season in New York might be over earlier than expected, and Miami gets up to that number 2 ranking inside the division. But either way, I think it gives the Jets a better chance to win this week. Coaches who get fired and then the interim head coach steps in. I don't know if this is a real stat, but it's just based off vibe checks. Always play better that following week. So we'll see what ultimately happens between New York and Buffalo. But I do think the Jets are more of a threat in the AFC now than they were 24 hours ago. All right, let's start talking about the Dolphins and ruin those Jets, man. I can't stand them. We got some injury news to talk about during the bye week because the Dolphins did hold their final practice of the week. They're going to give the players the rest of the week off. They'll reconvene next week as the coaches still work to get a game plan ready for Indianapolis, but they'll give the players a little bit of a break. And these are the 8 players that were not seen at practice earlier today. Calais Campbell has been a godsend for the Dolphins, and I believe he is just going to be veteran rest is what they'll call it. Long Jr. missed a couple of games ago against the Titans with a hamstring injury. He played last week. He's probably just getting some extra rest. We know Holland's going to miss this upcoming game against the Indianapolis Colts, so he was not there. Poyer missed this last game. I think Poyer will be fine and ready to go after. Ramsey and Fuller both a little banged up. We know Achan's in concussion protocol, and then obviously Malik Washington, who has missed some time this year. He was not spotted at practice either. Just some of these minor injuries. Not really too worried about any of them, if we're going to be completely honest. Outside of the players we already know that are going to be out first time, Achan, Holland, everybody else I would expect to be playing in that Week 8 game against the Colts. All right. Excuse me. That was week 7, by the way. But we do want to transition to quarterback because Mike McDaniel, at his press conference late yesterday, actually still named Tyler Huntley as the starter for the Miami Dolphins, even if Skylar Thompson is healthy. Obviously, Huntley became the starter after Thompson had that rim injury, but I thought they were going to do that anyway, to be honest, because Skylar Thompson looked really, really bad at quarterback against the Seahawks. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. But either way, there was some intrigued to see if there would be a change in quarterback with Skylar being healthy. That will not be the case. Huntley will remain the starter. And make sure you are subscribed to the channel because even though the Dolphins are on a bye week, we're still going to have you covered with everything surrounding the Fins. We're also going to be live for every single Miami Dolphins football game, regardless of record. So hit that sub button, join us because we got a long season ahead, and I feel something brewing in terms of a little run here. All right, let's see what Mike McDaniel exactly said on Huntley because he says that I feel as it stands right now. I feel very happy with the way Snoop is playing. I thought he went from managing the offense, so to speak, his first outing to I thought he was executing the offense, and that's to his credit. So I feel pretty good about how fast he's developed, and I would guess to forecast continuing that development process with the offense as the operation was better, but not as good as it could, and you hope that it would be, and there's an improvement in that. And I think Huntley's been serviceable in his 2 games so far. It's been very clear in that first game against the Titans that he did not get the full playbook. He had a very limited amount of plays at his disposal. And maybe that's because he didn't grasp the full understanding of the Mike McDaniel offense, but maybe he did. But what I would expect and what we saw in week 5 against New England was there a bigger playbook for Huntley at his disposal. And then with another week here and a bye week, they're going to install a game plan specifically for him against Indianapolis. So I would expect Huntley to have, once again, probably his best game as a Dolphin against the Colts, who, by the way, have a bottom 5 defense in the National Football League. This is the right decision. And we'll talk about Skylar Thompson at the end of today's show, but even if he is fully 100% healthy, there is nothing holding him back from that rib injury. I think you still have to start Tyler Huntley, someone who was 3-6 in his career as a starter in Baltimore, now 1-1 as a starter in Miami. I know the ugly was not pretty and the offense still had its struggles against the New England Patriots, but Huntley is starting to look better. The Dolphins' offense looked better in terms of picking up first downs, moving the football. They still need to capitalize when they get deep into opponent territory, but that's a story for a different day. The offense is progressing with Tyler Huntley. Let him go out there and play against the Indianapolis Colts, one of the worst defenses in football. Let him cook, and then hopefully two will be ready to go against the Cardinals in Week 8. All right, we are sponsored by GameTime, the number one way to get your tickets. And when the Miami do return home in Week 8 against the Arizona Cardinals, I suggest if you want to go to that game, you use GameTime because they have the lowest price guaranteed, they specialize in last-minute tickets, and it's the easiest way to purchase your tickets. And especially with new features like GameTime Picks, that filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals and great seats, so you don't have to waste your time searching through thousands of tickets. All-in pricing allows you to see the total price of your ticket up front rather than getting blindsided at checkout. And remember when I said lowest price guaranteed? Yeah, if you find a seat in the same exact seat section row at your live event, cheaper on a different service, GameTime will credit you 110% of the difference. They make your life so much easier when you're going to games. So download the app today, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, first purchase only, but again, create an account and use code CHATSPORTS to get $20 off your first purchase. Shout out Game Time. What time is it? It's game time. All right, let's shift the conversation to Odell Beckham Jr. because he returned from Miami in Week 5 against New England, played 11 snaps, got targeted once, didn't go so well, and he's talked about how he feels after this injury. He said he's a little sore, didn't even get to play that much, but it was really more of the build-up to the game and how hard I practice. It's all about building up the calluses. These guys and everyone else across the league have gone through a full training camp, had gone through 4 weeks of the season, far, far ahead of me in conditioning and feeling what it feels like to play football at the highest level. And I think this is very mature of Odell Beckham Jr. He understood, even if coming back, he wasn't going to play a lot in this first game because Berrios, Malik Washington, they have a better grasp of the offense. They've been relatively more healthy, been practicing more, playing in games, and it reflected in Odell Beckham Jr. only being on the field 11 times on Sunday. And he was only targeted once. I said it didn't go so well. Well, you can say that. It was an interception. When you look back at that play, by the way, and if you watch the All-22, Huntley was a decision for him. He had lone wide receiver to the left in OBJ. He had a bunch of players to the right, and it was a twofold situation. When he gets the snap, he reads the defense in that split second. He either throws the quick slant to Odell Beckham Jr. or he drops it out to the side to Raheem Mostert or Devon Achane for a little bubble screen, and you get blockers there. Well, what happened is he saw off coverage from Christian Gonzalez. He was playing 10 yards off, so he figured, all right, quick, easy 6-yard slant to OBJ. Well, unfortunately, Christian Gonzalez looks to be a top 3 corner in football and an all-pro type guy in New England. He read it, jumped the route, and intercepted it. I wouldn't blame it on Huntley or OBJ. I would really just say it was a great play by Gonzo over in New England. But I'm not really that concerned from Odell Beckham Jr.'s perspective. We always knew it was going to take a little bit longer for him to get fully ready, acclimated to this offense. I think we're really going to see the OBJ impact on this Dolphins team when Tua Tagovailoa is over at quarterback. And although those two have not had a lot of time to work together, develop chemistry, get a full rapport, but when you think of now having a full wide receiver core of OBJ, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle with QB1, the playmaker, the Chris Paul of the NFL, where he's just not flashy, just playmaking, dishing it out, diamond, finding those soft spots in the defense. I think that's when OBJ is really going to be a difference maker for this football team and really make this offense really pop out. Show the love to OBJ by spamming OBJs down in the comment section. I think the veteran is going to ultimately have a really big second half of the year when Tua returns and he gets fully healthy again. And I want him to know that we support him here over at Dolphins Today. So spam those OBJs down in the comment section. All right, we'll round out today's show with a Skylar Thompson update because at today's practice, he was seen throwing the football 10-plus yards for the first time since that rib injury he suffered in Week 3 against the Seattle Seahawks. It has not been the best time for Thompson this year, playing in about 4 quarters, completing 63% of his passes, throwing for 187 yards. It was not a clean procedure in that game against Seattle before Tim Boyle had to come in the final 15 minutes, But I do want to say this, and this is why I want to talk about Skylar Thompson. When he is fully healthy, ready to go, maybe it's in Week 7 against Indianapolis, maybe it's not. But Tim Boyle, who is on the practice squad, gets elevated for the game on Sunday. Once that happens, I think Tim Boyle, we won't hear from him again. I think Skylar Thompson's going to be your backup quarterback to Tyler Huntley. And when Tua returns, I think they might ultimately get rid of Tim Boyle and move Skylar Thompson to the practice squad. I think the Thompson experiment is over, and I think once Tua is back, they're going to keep Tyler Huntley as their backup quarterback moving forward for at least this season. So Thompson, it sucks that he could potentially lose his job due to injury, but once Tua comes back in 2 or 3 weeks and they designate him off IR, I would guess the corresponding move is going to be releasing Skylar Thompson on to the practice squad, or hopefully getting back to the practice squad. Maybe another team picks him up. But make sure you are subscribed to the channel because any type of move the Miami Dolphins make, we will have you covered. So hit that sub button. We do a lot of work here at Dolphins Today. I'm Nic Rohloff. If you're still here, you still like what we're doing, so make sure you hit that sub button.